This is Ming. Hey, I just wanted to show you one of the sample videos from our extensive library. This one is from the Rebel Wing Chun Volume 2. The link will be in the description below. Closing the line. We're looking at biceps control to closing the line and interfering with an attack. So this is a training that we do blindfolded, or eyes closed. The initial setup is whether I'm going from the outside or whether I'm going from the inside. This contact that I have on the bicep is pushing towards forward and toward her center. Now, from the outside. If it's from the inside, I am making contact with it and my hands are still, my elbows coming into center, and I'm actually pushing in this way and slightly forward. So there's a different dynamic when we're going here. So I'll close to here. I'm closing this line. So if you look at it from here, I'm closing this line. If she works underneath that to try to do an uppercut or something along those lines, you'll see how this changes from that to this now more direct, forceful drive forward. So if I have this open and she works that, she's in before I can change that. So we can't rely on this for reading. It's just like when we have cover. So if I'm working my cover, I'm not just going to rely on my hands. I'm also going to be relying on my base moving, my head moving out of their way and shearing off to the sides. This is the same mentality. If I'm on the inside like this, I make sure that this is inside of her arc of her tool. So if I'm out at all, my efficiency drops. I may be able to, because of how I've trained, I might be able to get that and close the line on that. But I guarantee I'll be able to close the line if she's doing it now and my elbow's in. Less work on my end. I don't have to think as much. I also don't have to worry about that succeeding on getting through. So we're looking at securing this from the outside, pushing in slightly toward her. I'm already set up so that if she tries to throw the punch, I'm set for deflecting it and intercepting the strike. And so I'm intercepting it when I'm changing its path. So it has an intent to go somewhere. I intercept the path by pushing it in this way and toward her center line. So when we're going from the outside, I close the line here so that I may strike here, or so I may do something else along those lines, or fire my own hooks, things like that. If we're on the outside like this, if she throws a hook, it's pretty easy to defend. If I don't raise my elbow, because again, if I raise my elbow at the same time, she'll go from an outside hook to an uppercut very quickly, and because she's the one deciding how she's going, I have to play catch up by sensory touching here. If my senses are really fine-tuned, I still have to use my periphery to figure out that she's moving. I have to use this tactile sense to say she's changing direction on that. I'm never completely 100% ahead of her, at least sensorily speaking. In my anticipation of where it's going, I may be, but that's leading the target, and that's not always truth-based, because she may change this along the line. So if she's throwing this punch and comes up underneath there like that, if she comes back up, and now I'm anticipating and trying to pre-forethought this as to, okay, it's going to be an uppercut coming from here, that may not be so. She may set this up, fake an uppercut, and fire from that side. So if I'm committed to my own estimation of where this is going, I'll be off. So I go with as close to truth as possible. And that means I listen to the senses, I pay attention to periphery and tactile feedback. That tells me the truth as close as possible. So we're always just slightly behind, but you can narrow that time frame very quickly by practicing very lightly. Instead of having very tight grip later on, you work to very, very light, and you're able to, as soon as, like right here when she goes high, I don't put any feedback on her until she's actually committing a forward motion. Then I meet that motion. Okay, so that's intercepting it. She goes up underneath. I don't I don't interfere with her ability to go down unless there's a specific reason that I'm doing that. But I will interfere with it as soon as it tries to come into my range. So I'm just meeting it. I'm meeting her force. Now, when I want to close the line and she's up like that high and she goes in, on the way in, I may close the line and then apply my own force, which is disturbing the base, which is the next step that we go towards. The first one is just feeling it. Can I feel what she's coming in? Can I adapt to this properly? And again, it's bicep control. And the reason that we go bicep control is there's very little movement from this elbow point to the shoulder versus from the hand to the shoulder. The hand to the shoulder, she's got an entire range, both forward, backward, and within this whole sphere. But here, this, if I affect this, guess what? That affects this. That can't get to me if I'm actually attacking the root of the problem, or at least the closest part from the trunk. That's what we're looking at. That's how Rebel Wing Chun and Core JKD in general deal with things. So if I'm on the inside like this, she throws a hook from this side. I will go from this to bicep control. So again, goes from here, I allow it. So I don't try to control this. She tries to hook. If I try to do that, she'll slip out of the grasp. It's physics. Fingers can't grab at that angle and she'll make it. So I go from here, any break in contact, I go to the bicep. I meet the force or I close the line and take the base, okay? So closing the line, let's separate those two. Closing the line is as I interpret a force coming in, she comes in with an underhook. There we go. I close the line by pushing it closed. Then there's taking base. So I may go from here, she's on the hook, pop, comes in, boom. Now I disturb the base completely because that may suit me to push her out on this axis. I may spin her out that way so I can set this up, or maybe a hatchet kick. Or I may go directly toward, she goes underneath, I may go directly towards there because I want to attack this leg on a chasse. Okay, so she comes in here, pop. So it really depends on where you're going to go later on, but you play that area. So we're in here like this. I want to work towards bicep control. And then we're going to flow just a little bit. Hard to do with the microphone on, but she's going to at some point try to throw a punch. And I'm just going to work either slipping in like this because my fingers, she got up underneath me. And see, I'm outside of any arc of her hook. So if you're going through and she gets in, she went over my fingers. I wasn't able to do this because I'm talking and trying to do this at the same time. But let's say that happens. So I move in. Now I'm up inside. I've got an underhook already. I can do lots of different controls. The hook itself is negated because I've moved inside the arc of the hook. So if that slips off on the hook, get in here. Notice my next movement would be a headbutt directly toward her. So I'm in here, she does that, I slip up, crack, perfect. Then I tie up and I've got full access. Go through again. Now she's not so lucky because I'm paying attention a little bit more. So this is where you keep going, yeah. This is where you play with it. She's trying to touch me. If you're a little worried about it, you can get headgear on and go to those levels, or she's just working to touch with the fingers. She's very good at just randomly poking people in the eyes, so for her, I'd rather take a fist to the face. So that's what we're going through. And she may shift base, she may shift angles.
Can I move?
No, because we're working right now just for you. This particular drill is just for me to understand and intimately connect with closing the line and feeling the movement so that I can take the base if necessary. So the first thing that I'm doing right now is just intercepting it. So I'm intercepting the force of it. She may go from one side to the next, change position, whatever else. So she'll set up, and it could be, yeah, it doesn't matter what she's using. As long as I have this contact, it's working. Next is going to be me taking base. So at different rates or different places, at my leisure, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to enact a good forceful shot back to her to change her base. At my leisure. So I'll intercept until I decide I want to take the base. See? And then I find the weak point in that base through that contact. Okay. And I take the base. Because she was starting to throw, so she had thrown this, and she's starting to throw one there, and that's when I went off of her force and directed it back and took her base. So those are the levels that you're going to do. You first feel it and you move with it. The second is you sit there and you close the line. And then the third step beyond that is you take the base.